This show is sponsored by Horizon HVAC, who you can count on for all of your heating and cooling needs. Today's episode is brought to you by Burns Roofing, your trusted roofing experts right here in Rhode Island. Whether you're in need of repairs, a roof full replacement, or just some professional advice, Burns Roofing has you covered. With their years of experience and commitment to quality, you can rest easy knowing your home is in good hands. Call Burns Roofing for all your roofing needs. All right, so we're here, but we're back with episode, I have no idea, actually, with the Mindset Radio. Welcome our guests, Rebello and Nicole Costa. Thank you guys for coming. We appreciate it. Cranston natives, as we're learning. Everything happens in Cranston.
True.
Yeah. Nicole, I've been watching your journey for a couple of years. I see you all over the place in the fitness world. Very impressive what you do, and I'd love to dive into that. And Greg, obviously, I've watched your career for a long time. I've been with CES. I was with Jimmy for like a year, helping him out with the fights and just helping him out at the events. And I've heard nothing but incredible things about you from people in Rhode Island. And just like from what I've seen, I'm very impressed with what you do. And I can't wait to dive into that. So let's get into it.
Let's go.
So we were just saying that Cranston is kind of like the hot spot in Rhode Island. What made you guys, are you guys from and like born and raised in Cranston?
No. Well, so I'm originally from Lincoln. I went to high school, graduated Lincoln High. And then what brought us to Cranston?
I don't know. I'm from Massachusetts. So
yeah. Way out, Cape Cod.
I was a hockey player from Mass. I have nothing to do with Cranston. I don't know. Like
it was the house, our first
house.
Yeah,
so we bought our first house like on the east side of Cranston. And our realtor was just kind of like, why don't you check out this? And we didn't really know a lot about it, So we looked at that. And then once we popped out 2 kids, we needed a little bigger space. And then we started, best friends of ours, Jen, is the one that friends of ours bought a house in Western Cranston. Yeah. And obviously they're like, we're doing it, you guys. Yeah. Look at Silo, check out these lots. So they recruited us and we bought a house in Western Cranston and basically have been, kind of fell in love with the area and have been there.
How long have you guys been there now?
So it's been a journey because we bought our first house, like you said, in Eastern Cranston, then the Western Cranston on Tomahawk. Then we moved to Florida for a year. And then came back. And we were
what part of Florida?
Sarasota.
No kidding.
Yeah, we tried that out.
We want to buy in. So was your plan to go there and stay there?
Our plan was to go and just try it. Yeah. We leased a condo. We're like, let's try it for a year. Let's give it 1 year. We lasted 11 months.
Yeah. Why? What made you not last long?
We missed everybody.
You got
I don't know. It's like, I loved it. Like, honestly, if you ask us, we'll probably die there. Like, the place is beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's just very different culture than it is here. Like, I don't know. Maybe I like aggressive people that are in your face. And like, it's just, I don't know. It's so hard to explain. And like everybody I know that lived there said the same thing. And they're like, when you move there and live there, you'll understand it. And then I did. I was like, all right, like it's just very different culture. Yeah. It's not like a lot of like homey type people. Like, I have my tight circle of friends here, people I talk to all the time.
Yeah.
Even in the gym, when I train, like all my clients, we're all buddies, like we're all friends, like it's cool, it's fun. It wasn't like that there. It's like people come, they work out, and they go home. There's do
you think it's because it was like a fast paced kind of everybody's on the move, everybody's
everyone
business,
did what we did. They come from somewhere else. Yes. They uproot their families, and it's like everyone kind of just keeps to themselves.
So was it hard to like get a group of people, like get like
community?
Because I know here, like even if I don't know like you guys, right? I don't know you guys yet, but I feel like we're gonna become friends. Yeah, of course. Right. You know what I mean? Like you didn't have that feeling in Florida?
Zero.
Not really.
Like even so I worked at a couple different MMA gyms. And it was cool right off the bat. I started teaching at like 2 different spots. I had a ton of like clients, big classes there. But here, like, guys hang out after the gym. They hang out of the gym. They go out and watch football together. There was none of that there. Like, once you left the gym, that was it. I didn't see any of these guys on the outside. Everybody just really, they moved from another spot. Chicago, a lot of people from Ohio. Yeah. A lot of people from New York.
From Russia.
A lot of the Russians
I do know that.
Like, a lot of Russians there. Yeah. And then, they moved there, and they just kind of keep to their family, and that's it. Which is cool. Like, I loved it. It was nice, but it's not a place to raise kids, in my opinion. Like, it wasn't here. My kids got wrestling. They have all their friends there. Like back there, it's very different.
Yeah, Sarasota is very retirement.
Yeah, it was. The south part of Sarasota is like more of an older crowd.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous to the eye.
We went to the beach every day.
I know.
Yeah, like that was cool. But
cool.
You think like. I don't know.
You just get sick of it. You think you won't.
You think you wouldn't.
Yeah.
People would see my Instagram and be like, "Oh my god,
it's
like
gorgeous!"
The beach like,
you get to
and I'm there in December, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's snowing out here."
Yeah.
But I'm just like, "Oh, all right." Like I wouldn't mind being in the snow right now. You kind of like get sick of it.
Christmas is not the same.
It's not the
down
same.
there.
It's not.
It's
Definitely
not.
Just
Just
not.
like there was
palm
one
trees
neighborhood
and
that like
You guys were
because
there.
she loves to watch like the Christmas lights. Honey,
Yeah.
let's go drive around the neighborhood. I'm like, and I'm like, yeah, all right. So there was like one neighborhood in all of Sarasota that put like these giant Christmas lights, and that was it.
On their palm trees.
Yeah.
Oh, like exactly, yeah. So
On
it's
the
like
roof.
85 degrees out, and we're like singing holiday songs. It's kind of weird, but you never realize how much you miss the seasons. Like down there,
I can't. I wouldn't be able to live without the
every
seasons.
day
Fall is my favorite
every
time
day
of
you
the
wake
year.
up, t-shirt, flip flops, because it's too hot to wear anything else.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, it got old quick.
You do. You have. I do. I don't know about you. Like a newfound appreciation for where we are. I'm like,
100%.
I will take this cold for a few months, and then
because it makes you like. You get ready, you're like, oh, summer's coming, it's great. And it makes you, I feel like, enjoy it more. Like the 4 months, we went away so many times this summer, like we had fun with the kids. We're in Florida, you're like, oh, it's like this tomorrow, we can just do it tomorrow.
For me too,
like, it's just like,
for me too, like I don't think you can grow without being uncomfortable.
Yes.
And like with these seasons, it keeps you on your toes a little bit. Like in the wintertime, it just kind of, it gets you ready. You know that you got a long way to go until spring.
Right.
And you kind of like mentally prepare yourself to get through the cold ass weather and get onto something, all right, we know spring's right around the corner.
Absolutely.
So it
builds thick skin too.
It does.
Like,
it does.
We're like in Florida, like, so here you go to Starbucks, like everybody's in line, like shivering, like get my freaking coffee, like to get the hell out of here.
Nobody says hi.
Like in Florida, I remember when we first moved there, like, I don't know, I'm such like a New Englander, like we're all aggressive and angry. And like, I was like some old woman that works there is like, hey, how are you doing, sweetheart? And I'm like, how are you doing? Like, what are you know what I mean? You kind of, we're like an attitude. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, yeah, you know what I mean? And like every time you go to Starbucks in Florida, it's like a 10-minute conversation. And there's nobody in line, but like it takes, everybody's very slow paced.
They're just so retired.
They're
so retired.
What are your plans
Yeah, what are
today?
your plans for today?
Yeah,
I'm like, what are your plans today, you creep?
Do you
Like,
work for the FBI?
yeah, so it's just different down there, We're like here, it's like you get your coffee, you give them the money, have a nice day, see you later.
Yeah,
like,
I could see that.
It's just very slow paced. But that's everybody. It's not just the old people. Like everybody's just.
Yeah.
Did you guys? So Sarasota, is that near Fort Lauderdale in Miami?
It is on Fort Lauderdale's on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Sarasota's the West Coast.
Okay.
Right below Tampa.
Yeah. So we went to Fort Lauderdale last winter, and I loved it. I could see myself living down there. I went out to breakfast one morning, and like I was wearing a watch, and a guy next to me noticed it and started a conversation out of nowhere. Come to find out, he owns like one of the biggest epoxy flooring companies in like the country.
No kidding.
And this is funny because Paul Carbone also went down there in Miami, met somebody, and
they
like,
trained him. Dude,
when I got back, right, I had just started the podcast, and I reached out to Paul to come on as a guest.
Yeah.
And I went over to his shop. We were talking, and I had plans in my head to do a partnership with this guy that I met in Miami. We were gonna bring his company up to the East Coast, and we were gonna partner somehow. And I meet Paul. I go to his place, and he starts telling me about this epoxy floor company that he's starting in Rhode Island because he was down in Florida and was talking to somebody about it and went down there and trained. So it just happened at the same time. He moved faster than I did, and he got it up and running. So but it's just, my point is like, I was just eating. We were out to breakfast, and I met a random guy
over a watch.
Yeah. And I felt like, I'm like, oh, I think this might happen a lot down here. I got that feeling that opportunity is just like everywhere down there. So
people like to talk.
And there's a lot especially in the winter months. Like a lot of the people, the day after Christmas, they would leave, the Northeast, and they would stay from like December 26th until May 1st.
Yeah.
Those are like the busy months down there. And that was the best weather. Like the summer is too hot. The summer, you think
it's disgusting.
Like I tell people this all the time, and I'm like, you would go to the beach in the summer and it's dead. There's nobody there because it's too hot. Like
it's too much.
And it's like more people stay, like we stay indoors for a few months here in the winter. Like I feel like they stay indoors like May, June, July, August, September. Like when we got there, like when we left there, I remember like the kids' last day of school, like it was so hot out, it was unbearable.
I went to the beach. I never knew that the water was warm like that. I didn't know because I'm so used to like New England. It's freezing water. Even in the dead summer, you go to the beach and it's like freezing.
Yeah, but it's like refreshing.
Yeah, but it was like
in the winter.
It was
in
like
summer. It's like
it was like warm. It was. I couldn't believe it. Remember, I was like freaked out. I was like, this doesn't even make sense in my head.
The day that we left, we walked to the beach that morning. I remember.
The day we left to come back home?
To come back home. Or the kids' last day of school, we walked Siesta Key.
Yeah.
And it was 90 out, and the water was just as warm.
So what was the decision? What were you guys were like finally at the point where like, I just want to go back home? you guys made the decision? Like, what was the final straw?
I'll
that made
never
you come back?
forget this day and this moment for as long as I live. We like loved it, and we were just adamant that we were staying there until we weren't. Until one day,
Really?
just like, God, I miss my family. Like, we can just fly and go see them, but it's just not the same. It's the comfort of knowing everyone you love and care for is they're just a drive away, not a whole plane ride.
And also,
and so, no, but you come home. He comes home from training one day. I'm in my daughter's room, and her and I are both crying because I said, do you miss home? She starts tearing up. I start losing it. I'm like, I miss home too. And we both start crying. He walks in. He's like, oh God.
There we go. Yeah. Like, what did I walk
I was
into?
like, we want to go home.
Oh my God. I'm like, I'm just settling in. I'm at like another gym. Like everything's going.
Starbucks. Yes, had a great conversation.
Talking to some 94-year-old woman that's been,
I just played backgammon 5 years ago.
I got my whole retirement plan set.
No, that's cool. So you guys have a lot of family around here? Is that what it was? Like,
everybody's
close.
Yeah.
Our plan is to move to Sardinia, Italy for our retirement.
Wow.
Yeah, we want to get it out. I got family in Sardinia, so when we're like ready to retire, if we retire, then that's the move.
You never know. You can keep it moving over there. Like,
that's what's great about Sardinia. It's a blue region, so it's the average age is 104, and they live in communities. They eat well, they exercise together, and so because of that mentality, they all work together.
Is that close to like the Amalfi Coast? Isn't that where everybody goes to like?
The what?
I don't know what it's close to, but it's right off of the main land of Italy. It's just its own little
it's its own little island.
Oh, so it's like on the water.
It's surrounded by water.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. It looks amazing.
I trained so many people that's where they vacation. Like
Sardinia?
No, I think it's the Amalfi Coast.
Probably it might be.
So beautiful.
That's the plan, but who knows? You know what I mean?
I say just do it. That's what I tell everyone. I'm like, we talked about it for so long.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm sure we'll talk about this story. When I closed Body Rock, him and I sort of went and did our own thing with Sweat Republic. We got kicked out of our unit 3 months later.
No.
And I said, babe, I can't do it anymore. Like I remember throwing my phone, I'm in tears. I'm like, nothing's holding us back now. I think this is where I'm going to launch my online business. Let's move, because we've been talking about it for months and probably almost 2 years.
Yeah.
We would talk about it.
She didn't even get to enjoy Florida because she was like on a.
I was trying to build a business.
I was tan. I had like slick back hair.
Hell yeah.
I was outside every day.
Gucci glasses.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. I was talking to old people at Starbucks. Going to see Virginia again today, honey.
Like Jonah Hill in that movie. Dude, that's hilarious.
Yeah, try it. Worst case scenario, you don't love it, you come back.
Yeah. I want to get to the business part, because that's something that really interests me and how you guys structure that. But I want to start with Greg and your childhood and because you said something to me at the gym the other day that kind of made me think. And I was telling you about my son and how he holds weight and how he's a bigger kid.
Yeah.
Is that something that affected you when you were younger?
Yeah,
and like, how did you get into fighting? How did you get into boxing?
The same way. Like, I was always a husky kid.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Hockey was like my outlet. And like growing up in Massachusetts, it's like, that's it. There's no other sports really. Like the high school I went to, hockey was the big sport. I was always like an overweight kid, and I was always like, self-conscious about that. And I remember when I was probably around the same age, 15, 16, I was like a sophomore, junior in high school. That's when I started like getting into like fitness in the gym. And I had lost like 100 pounds over the course of like a year.
Did your parents get you involved, or was it your decision?
No, not at all. It was just like my decision. I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. Like, I want to be like better at hockey. I want to like better myself and get in shape. And I literally never looked back. Like never, I haven't. Obviously, when you're injured and stuff like that, you take time off the gym. But I've been in the gym ever since.
Yeah, I have a very similar body type, and so does my son. It's like if I don't eat what I watch, if I don't watch what I eat, I blow up like a tick.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
It's like it's impossible. Yeah. I've gone from, I mean, my weight goes from 220 to 240 to 250. I was like 260 down to 220. It's just all over the place. It's uncontrollable.
I can lose it and gain it so fast.
Yeah, and it's
really crazy. You can.
It sucks because it's like, what do I have to eat like a bird for the rest of my life just to like look good? And
Nicole's post today.
Why? What was that?
Her post today, it resonated, but she's like, work with me, give me 90 days. You can actually eat what you want. You just I have to teach you how to do it. And I'm like, and that's when I tagged her. I said, well, what are we doing wrong? Yeah. Because we love food.
Well,
like,
it's calories. It's calories in, calories out.
Calories in, calories out. Right. But also, like, there is such a thing as like quality of food. And I always say like 80-20. 80%, yes, of course, the whole foods, nutrient dense. But the 20 is so important. And that's where a lot of, I work with mostly women, they get it wrong because they're like, I can't have the chocolate. And the second you tell yourself, I can't have that, what do you think about?
Chocolate.
You
That's all you
fixate on the
want.
damn chocolate.
Yeah.
And then what happens? Floodgates open and binge fest. And I come from the world of fitness competitions. That's what we were eating like birds for 16 weeks straight.
Yeah.
And then the second you were off that stage, I'm telling you, the
Boom,
second you were off that stage, like you're walking behind towards your belongings, already putting chocolate, everything, like just total binge.
So how much can your body composition change in the matter of days? How much in the matter of days, if you go from eating really clean to just going on a binge, can your body change drastically in days?
No, I would like, let's just call it 7 days. It's not that your body composition changes. Visually it changes, and that's just inflammation and water retention. How much muscle mass have you lost and body fat have you gained in 7 days? Probably not a lot.
Yeah.
But it's the water retention. Like anytime I've ever done some sort of like food-based detox, 5 days later, I'm like, it looks like I've been dieting for like 12 weeks. It's a lot of inflammation, water retention. But I tell women all the time, like a solid 90 days of doing the right thing, you will be shocked of how your body will change.
Yeah.
It would look like some of our before and afters. I'm like, it looks like that person spent a solid year, and that was only 90 days.
I think a lot of people don't get that 90 days done. Like they get to like 14, 15, 16 days, and then they end up going off the deep end. They do one cheat meal.
Yes.
And then that one cheat meal turns into two.
That's me. I open up the floodgates.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with fighting too. Like a lot of fighters, they're dieting over the course of 6 weeks. And then on top of that, they have to cut weight to weigh in. So a lot of guys, like for instance, I had fought at 185. I made it twice. And it was like, I was on death's door.
Yeah.
Like I dieted myself down to 205, eating like nothing. And then I would cut 20 pounds of water on top of that.
Wow.
And then I would weigh in.
How.
I remember when I fought for Bellator, I weighed in at 186. And the next day I was like 217.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Like I remember
Is that just all water?
Yeah, a lot of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
How is
think
that
about it. So I would
healthy,
diet.
though?
It's not.
I was dieting down to like 206 and then cutting all that weight, like miserable, like the worst of the worst. And then I'm starving and I'm eating like all this stuff. And a lot of it, I wasn't even eating like crap. I was just eating so much food.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the times, like my fight shorts that were like my sponsors, they wouldn't even fit the next day. They were like so tight. I'm like, holy moly. Like,
See, that's what I mean.
but then
It's
of course, and then what do you do? Like after the fight's over, you go out and you have drinks that night with your friends and you eat pizza.
Then it's just
And then it's like, a
So-
week later, I'm 240.
It's
I'm
like
oh,
all that
shit,
work
yeah.
that you just
Yeah.
did, it's pretty much gone.
Yeah.
We are exactly like that. We
Yeah.
go so strong and
All or
we
nothing.
do amazing. Yeah, all or nothing. And then we're like, well, we look really good. How about we just
Boom.
have
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
shit's the bed.
Yeah,
Shit's the
I'm
bed.
the same way. I'm the same way.
We were in Florida. I'm like, I got my 6-packs in. I'm like, I'm looking lean. And then like literally a week later, it was gone. Like,
Yeah.
cause
Oh,
I
the
saw
food
that.
was
I'm
so
like, oh
good
no,
there.
I can eat this. I can eat that. I'm good now. And it's all.
But
out
it's
the
also
window.
this time of year. Like in the summer, I'm good. This summer, I was in like the best
True.
shape I've been in a long time.
Same.
And then like, this is like the hardest time to get through. Once I get through this, it's like smooth
cold.
sailing. It's
Comfort.
cold. I'm like,
I
honey,
will
let's
say-
watch a movie, have some snacks. Like, And I still work out every day. Like I don't like pick up the workouts. Like I still work out just as much as I do in the summer. But it's all food.
I will say in Sarasota, it was so much easier to stay in
Yeah.
shape.
Yeah.
Just always nice. Go to the
It's
gym.
like you're forced to.
It is
Yeah, yeah.
brutal. Like today, I'm like, I have to just go outside. Just
Yeah.
get to your car,
Yeah,
Nicole,
that's
and
it.
get to the gym.
Yeah.
It's freezing.
We just started going to the gym at 5:30 or
Yeah.
we get up
Yeah,
at
we're
5, we're
doing
there by
2-a-days.
5:30
Yeah.
and it's actually helping
I
out
love
because
it
it's
now.
cold no matter what in
Yes.
the morning. So
Yeah.
No, it's like, and
it's
then
easier
even
to have an
at my
excuse.
gym, like, this morning at 5 there was a lot of people in there. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of people like
Yeah.
trying to get in that groove of
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And they're like, but again, like with kids, you got a lot of people have to get it, out of the way in the morning.
Yep.
Because then when you get out of work, you're going to sports,
Feels
you're
like
in your
Yep.
car going here.
Drained.
Like,
Yep.
So it's
a
tough.
lot.
So what's your training regimen like leading up to a fight?
To a fight, that's one thing with me, I never stop training. So a lot of guys, like I coach a lot of fighters now, and it's, you see guys that do the training camp and then they disappear and you don't see them for months at a time, whether they're on vacation or they're just hanging out
You
with
mean
their buddies.
after the fight?
After the fight.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people stay the same. Like the guys that get better are the guys that get back in the gym immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. And they just work on stuff. You take out the hard sparring, hard grappling, and you kind of save your body and heal up. But you work on technical stuff and you better your skill set, stuff like that. So I never stop training. But my training camps, I mean, I would usually do 8 weeks, like 6 to 8 weeks. But like I said, I was always in the gym. So I was always sparring. Like when I was out of fight camp, I would spar once a week or once every 2 weeks. So I was always still
like heavy sparring?
Not even. Like out of fight camp, I didn't do like a ton of heavy sparring. But again, like when I had sparring partners, like they would help me. So if they had a fight coming up, I would help them. So it kept me in the gym sparring too. But I was always like a couple weeks out of fight shape. Always.
Did you train with Peter Manfredo Sr.? So was he your boxing coach?
Actually, Diamond Dave Keefe was my box coach, but he worked under Peter. So when I first met Peter, he was actually at Triforce. They were in the front of the building there.
Yeah, that's where I started.
So Peter was in the front there with Dave, and they were the two guys, and they had a ton of boxers, and that's where I met Dave and Peter. So they used to help me a lot with like my boxing sparring, and I would go in there and spar with some of them guys.
Yeah.
So Dave was like my head boxing coach.
Was that Vladine's coach? Dave? Who? There was another coach.
Vladine's coach was
the guy with the glasses.
Yes, he had like tan glasses. He's like
love
a Cape Verdean guy.
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna think of his name. He wicked nice guy.
I think it started with an M, but I love that guy.
Great guy. Dude.
Yeah,
he always had a pinky ring. Dude.
Yeah. So
Glasses.
No. It's interesting to be able to see the transformation of Triforce.
Yeah,
because I got to be able to see it when it literally first started. I think I was there when they came up with the idea. They were like, "Hey, let's throw some mats back, in the back of the gym."
It was the blue like Lego mats.
Yeah,
and we're like sparring and wrestling on those.
Yes,
more guys got injured from those than anything else.
Yes, and like I remember, slowly more and more people started going from the front of the gym, and they're like peeking back. They're like, "What are they doing back there?" And like I just remember people just slowly gravitating back there, and they just grew. They grew,
and then that's
when
Peter Manfredo went down to Narragansett.
Yes,
and then Keith's brother took over the front.
Yep.
He made it all the strength and conditioning in the front.
Yep.
And he has the training for warriors up there. And then Pete blew out the whole back there. And then they were there for probably 10 years. I mean, I was training there for a long time.
Yeah.
And then recently, obviously, they moved down the street to like another new building.
That
gym is
what they did down there is absolutely amazing.
It's the best gym around that I've ever seen.
I would probably say even maybe like in New England.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's what do you think they cost to build that gym?
Pete is a pretty handy man. So like,
you think
he did a lot of the work himself. Yeah, Pete's a handy guy. Plus, think about it. Like, out of all the like students he has, how many general contractors train there? How many carpenters? How many electricians?
True.
There's a lot of people that I know that helped him out because everybody loves Pete and Keith. So,
I don't like prying into people's business, but it's like the first thing I think of when I see something like that. It's like, I need to see the numbers.
And it's not just like a big, everything's clean and everything's mint. Like,
into context, I mean, when we built out Warwick, so there was a point where we had Body Rock, Cumberland, and then we expanded to a second location in Warwick. That build out, which was supposed to only be like what, 50, 60,000, ended up being almost 100,000. And we just built a mezzanine. We didn't do anything crazy.
No, yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So that was the first time I heard of you was Body Rock and Cumberland because I lived right across the street.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Well,
that's right.
My old neighborhood was like down Blue Street, in that back neighborhood.
Yeah.
Was your spot the old powerhouse? Is that what you ended up taking over?
Yeah.
So you had that whole area.
Thing, yeah.
Wow.
So
How was
6,000.
that maintaining? What was that like trying to keep that up?
If we could only do it all
that's
over again.
Big freaking
if we could
area.
only do it all over again, we would have never left the mills, which that was, how many square feet was that unit?
The first one?
The mills that we were in before we went to Cumberland. It's probably like 3,500.
3,500 probably, yeah.
It was intimate. And then what happened was, it was just a nightmare. I swear, it was that season of life where it was just like, throw this wrench in your life and just test you, Nicole, one thing after the next. We were crushing it in that mill. It was intimate. It was just like such a great vibe. And then someone bought the mill building to the side. Unbeknownst to us, he now owns the entire parking lot. So now we're in this mill. There's nowhere for our clients to park.
Oh, really?
So we got backed into a corner. Mind you, we're currently building a second location in Warwick, putting out all this money there. Now we're forced to move our main location. That's when we moved from Lincoln, the mills, to Cumberland. Wow. And we just went too big. It became very
jobby.
Corporate-y.
Yes.
This corporate
you owned a
feel.
job.
It was fancy. And it took away from what Body Rock was. It was just this intimate, crazy family. It was chaotic.
For us, it was tough because it's like, I'm going to Cumberland to teach class. Somebody pulled out, they're sick. Then I'm going to go to Warwick to teach this class.
Yeah,
we're dragging kids and back and forth. And it was just like, it was a nightmare.
And then managing staff. It was just, it became a lot.
And then COVID hit.
Really?
And then COVID hit.
So I want to rewind a little bit just because I want to figure out how you guys got there and know how you guys got there. Like your social media kind of started taking off at some point, right?
Sure, yeah.
And is that how this all started? Like being able to get clients and where the idea came from starting a gym? Like talk about how like the growth of your social media and how that helped you in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. So it started, God, when did I first compete? 2000, I'm going to get this wrong, probably 6. But anyway, I decided one day I want to compete in my first fitness competition.
How old
and
were you?
I was 21, I think.
Perfect.
I think I was 21. I just graduated college too. So 21, 22. And I decided, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to train. I'm going to go all in. Ended up winning my first show. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. I went to Canada to compete
Wow.
at like on an international stage, placed 3rd there.
Holy
And then I remember
smokes.
at that show, Bob Kennedy, who was the editor-in-chief of Oxygen magazine, which back then, landing in Oxygen magazine covers probably like equal to like someone signing with UFC.
yeah.
Like it was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that was what
Cream of the
every
crop.
fitness
And
model.
you got that?
And I ended up
Wow.
gracing my first cover there. And then it just grew from there.
Wow.
My business with Body Rock. I started in, it was a small little spot on Academy Ave in Providence, 2nd floor, tiny little spot. And then it just grew from there. I started with literally like 4 sets of dumbbells. We would paint ourselves, we would bartend, take that money to go and like buy new equipment, like
That's so
literally
cool.
from the bottom.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And then we just expanded. We ended up knocking down a wall to expand that unit. Moved from there to the first mill in Lincoln,
In
and just
Cumberland
kept
on the other
expanding.
side.
Yeah. So the social media thing, I think it was a mixture of competing because it was a lot of networking and meeting different girls and
Was
coaches.
it Instagram
and
first or Facebook first?
It was Facebook first.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Instagram, I mean, I've been on it for well over a decade. So it's like, you know, just constant networking. You meet so many people as a competitor.
Yeah.
And then it just like took off. That first cover was like the momentum
Was
to everything else. Yeah.
Was coaching, like online coaching, a thing back then?
No.
Yeah.
Nope. Everything we did
Because it's kind of
was
new. Online
That's
coaching
something
is a
recent
newer
that-
thing
yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
Yep.
You see a lot of people closing gyms or getting off the gym
Yeah.
floor, you know, to do
Do you
that.
think
Yeah.
that's because of COVID? The way it's
I think
changed
COVID
our-
had
Oh, for
played a
sure.
part in it
Probably,
for sure.
yeah, definitely.
Just think
That's a
about how
good
many
point.
gyms shut down like
Yeah.
during COVID.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible that they closed all of everything
Mm-hmm.
and first responders, they stayed open. But why would you close a gym which keeps you healthy during
Bradley
Thank you.
Martin.
It
Bradley
drives me
Martin
nuts.
refused.
Refused,
I,
yeah.
I and that's when I actually started
Unreal.
following him. I
Yep.
was
Then
like,
there's
who's
In
this
New
guy?
Jersey, right?
guy,
Yeah.
No,
Bradley,
Cali,
no.
California.
Right,
Oh, California.
But
Yeah.
the guy in New Jersey she's talking about, they fined him like he had like millions of dollars in
Millions.
fines and never
Yep.
paid him, and they just threw it out in court
good.
like a few
Yeah.
months ago.
Good, yeah.
But it's like
Rightfully
yeah.
so, man. I mean,
No, because
Yeah.
it's like, you know, it ruined both of our gyms. Like our gyms were both crushing it at that point.
Mhm.
Warwick and Cumberland, it was a lot of work, but the gyms were both packed, every class. Like it was awesome.
yeah.
And then it's like, now we got to go down, especially in Warwick, our floor was huge.
Mhm.
Now we got to go down to like 8 people and there's tape on the
Wow.
floor. And then they shut us down. We're open 1 week, we're shut down, and the landlord still wants to get paid, obviously.
Of
So it's like,
course.
and we have nothing coming in. Like it's
Were you guys able to
Disaster.
get like that loan, the PPE loan? You were.
PPP.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, we
good.
got
I didn't have
that.
any companies back then, and I was always curious as how that worked. But was it kind of just filling out an application and they
Yeah.
just help you out with?
Yep. It was,
Sup-
it
like
was actually
supplemented?
pretty easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I know a
so
lot of
that
people-
helped a little, but it was like at that point we were just out so much money with both locations. And to just make things even better, I was doing direct sales with a company called Advocare
Oh, that's right.
and doing really well with them. And then literally overnight we got on a Zoom call and they were like, we have some news to share.
Yeah.
And so essentially overnight I lost a 6-figure income because Body Rock at that point was like just fun money. I had my Advocare. It was bringing in
Yeah.
a lot of money. We were helping a lot of people. So I remember when my business partner was like, hey, do you guys mind not taking a paycheck as we do the build out and stuff? I'm like, oh, sure. Nope, no problem.
Wow.
Literally weeks later, they're like, we're no longer doing business the way we
Yeah.
did. Income was gone.
I remember that. I remember
Mhm.
the Advocare
Yeah.
era.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I remember
Um,
that.
And I remember
And
a
Herbalife
lot
before
of
that.
people making money around
Yeah.
here. I remember that's when I found out about Alicia Freeman.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. She was on my team. She's awesome.
Yeah, and like
Mhm.
out of nowhere, she just like popped up, and I was like, same thing as yourself,
Yeah.
just killing it in the fitness
Mhm.
space. Her social media was growing and
Yeah.
growing and growing, and then we were talking to her the other night, and that's what she had said. She was like, "It just ended.
It just
Yeah.
They
ended
just
very
called everybody,
abruptly.
Yeah.
ended."
I remember calling him. I'm like in tears. I'm like, we might have to sell our house.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, and this is like my advice for everyone: just be skillful. Like, how many skills can you acquire? I'm like, what are my skills? What can I do to keep this house? Okay, I'm a great personal trainer. I will get my butt back on the floor. I will hustle. Like, it was. I look back on that. I'm like, how did we not end up in Butler?
But you know what?
How?
It probably built so
Yeah.
much
Oh, for
character.
sure.
Yeah, because
It
we're
did.
just like
Callous.
we're kind of
It
those
did.
people that are like, we'll figure it out.
Figure
We'll
it
do
out.
whatever it takes.
Yeah.
That's a
Figure
true.
it out.
That's a true
Yeah.
entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's being able to pivot
Sure.
and figure out
Yeah.
like solutions to a big problem like that.
Better
Truly.
than sitting there and crying about it.
Yeah.
And it builds
cry for
so
a minute.
much.
Yeah. But then you stop
and then
crying and figure it out.
Yeah. Was that like most of your income? Like both of your income? Was it Advocare?
Advocare and Body Rock. Yeah. Yep.
What was Sweat Republic?
Sweat Republic was when we had kind of a falling out. Like partnerships, that's another thing that I've learned. Like, I'll just never have partners again.
Yeah,
but
it's tough.
it was just
tough.
yeah, it was very stressful. And so we decided to part ways and then just close that chapter of Body Rock. And I'm like, him and I, we have like a special thing where we work well together.
Yeah.
And so why not try this? Let's go back to that intimate vibe that Body Rock once was and just try to keep this community alive. Like at that point, I was kind of going back and forth. I'm like, do I just go full blast with this online thing because I think I can make it work? I was like, but the community, like, I don't want to let these people down. I'll cry if I keep talking about it. And I was like, let's do it. Let's open up what was Sweat Republic.
Yeah, we found like a sweet spot
right near
Western
our
Cranston.
house. Like it was
Right
perfect.
yeah,
So
right off
what
Comstock Parkway.
was Sweat Republic? Like what was it?
It was essentially a
mini
boutique
version of
style,
Body Rock,
a smaller Body
and
Rock.
we wanted to like downsize it and like, oh, we could do 50 members.
Mhm.
It was a smaller gym, but it was nice with a garage and like right in Western Cranston, like a great area. And we had a lot more people signed up than we anticipated.
It was partly our fault
like-
because we told the landlord we're going to keep it very small. And when I say small, I was telling her like 10 people in it, like a small group training.
But that was our
God.
intention. Like,
Yeah,
I, you know,
yeah.
I
It
didn't-
really was.
I
and
didn't
then
think that it was going to get that big. And then all of a sudden it's like
yeah, it's
100
just
people
hard.
trying to sign up like the first week we
Wow.
opened.
That's so
and there are people that are like, can we save me a spot? I'll pay more. And I'm like, oh, man.
Those are the
And then
best.
before you know, we
those
have
are the
like
best
30 people
things.
crammed.
Like,
And then all of a
gosh.
sudden we have this, you know, because we only had 5 spots. We're taking up everybody's parking spot. It's like friggin' mayhem. And we're running back-to-back classes. So there's like 60 cars coming in, 60 going out, people personal
People- and
training
then-
outside. Yeah.
wow.
People started to complain,
Yeah.
and our landlord was she's in her final chapter, like in her 90s,
She's
right?
old. Yeah,
like
she's in her
not
80s.
having it. She's
Yeah.
just like
Final
no
chapter.
BS.
Yeah.
And she was like, I want you guys out. I'm like,
Damn.
no, but
Yeah.
and then we tried to figure what was it?
were
To
gonna
try
rent a
to
parking
rent out
spot,
the
and
parking
I'm like-
spots that was across the street on a
Yeah.
two-way busy
Wow.
with no crosswalk. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Because that gym was like, it was a good spot. It was small. It was easy.
The
it
hurdles.
was,
you guys
I
have.
think
Yeah.
I think
And
all
right
the-
from there, we're like, we're going to Sarasota.
I'm like, I need to get out of
Oh,
here.
really? That's when you guys
I want to
went?
go talk to old ladies at
Reset.
Starbucks. Yeah.
Let's reset
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
So
Try
that was
something
basically
different.
it. Because we're like now or never. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so, and that's when we sold the house. And
No, I think I could see it in both of you guys that like that's definitely you guys are going to be good for
Oh,
whatever
thank
you guys do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
You're the type
believe
of
that.
people.
Yeah,
You're the
we just
type of
make it
people
work.
that
Just
you'll
do whatever you gotta
no
do.
matter what you do, you guys are going to be successful.
Figure it out. All of that was really, it sounds corny and cliche. It really was a blessing.
Yeah, no,
Because
they
I feel
are.
that now. I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like I can get through anything
Yep.
and I'm
Yeah.
resilient. And it's taught me so much that I'll like forever take with me in business. So
No, it's like the strongest thing that could
Mhm.
happen. I've been through a lot of shit and myself too. And like it's built me to this be able to have this ability of just like I can get through anything.
Mhm.
There's nothing that really bothers me anymore.
yeah.
In business and like life, there's really nothing that will upset me or
Mhm.
get to me to the point where I get emotional about a decision.
Right.
It's like I laser focus and like that's like those lessons. That's what ends up coming out of that
Yep.
stuff.
Of course.
The online business, right? We talked about like back in COVID, and I think you guys are right. I think COVID is kind of what pretty much spiked the online business. I
Yes.
think people got to see the revenue coming in from it
Mhm.
in the amount of work. Like I think if I'm not understanding, you probably make more money with your online stuff than in person.
100%.
What do you enjoy doing most?
Yeah.
If you had to pick one thing going forward,
You mean online or
online?
gym,
Would it
owning
be
a gym?
online?
Or?
Like, can you see your online business expanding more
Yeah. Oh,
and more
absolutely.
and more?
Yeah. Yep. So I'm already thinking in terms of like, so I do high ticket coaching where it's like you come on board for 90 days minimum, it's a whole transformation journey. Then I'm like, okay, I want to now expand because it's now turning where, yes, COVID launched like the boom of online coaching, but I think people still miss community and face to face. So things that I'm working on for this year are retreats, like in-person retreats,
Yeah,
just
that's what
building
Sheena wants to do.
community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's perfect. I love that.
Yep. So wellness retreats. But to answer your question, I love the flexibility as a mom to just be home, build my schedule. Like
Yeah.
you said, when we had the gyms, it was like,
We're
who
not.
called
all
out?
over
I
the
have to go
place.
cover. It
I
was,
mean, for
and I loved it. I
but
did,
for
but it worked until it didn't work anymore. Until I was a mom of two, and I'm like
yeah, no,
always
but
overwhelmed.
how long? We didn't have a family dinner until we closed Sweat Republic.
Mhm.
Wow.
Never.
Yep.
Now it's like we sit down and have dinner
Mhm.
every night.
It's
like,
just, it seems
we
more
never
flexible.
like we never
It also
got to do
seems
that.
like the people benefit from it a little bit more too,
Mhm.
because they're easier. It's easier to when
Show
you're
up.
training somebody,
Yeah.
it's just like an hour, right? You're with
Right,
them
right.
for an
Yeah.
hour,
Right.
maybe once a week, twice a week.
Mhm.
But with online, you
Mhm.
give them a structure, you give
Yes.
them a format to follow, and
Mhm.
you're able to talk to them or email them whenever,
Yep.
whatever your schedule is.
That's cool.
I feel like there's a little bit more benefit even to
I
being
love it.
online. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I see so many people going in that direction,
Yeah.
that it looks very, very lucrative and interesting to me. You know,
Yeah.
it's something that we're going to venture into. I don't think as much as the fitness stuff. We're going to kind of maybe do stuff with business and like
Yep.
helping people start businesses.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people don't understand really how easy it can be to start an LLC.
Yes.
If you are handy to start a construction company
Mhm.
or something in that niche, like if you're really good with cabinets, like, you know, it's very easy to start a cabinet company if
Yeah.
you talk to the right people and you network with the right people
Right.
and
Of
market
course, yeah,
and
that's what
market
it's all
right.
about,
Right.
yeah.
So like
And market right.
Yeah,
You're
so
right.
we're thinking
marketing
about
and
a way that we can kind of structure that into like some online training or
Yeah.
something like that. But yeah, it's interesting. All that.
It's
Do
awesome.
you guys do merch and stuff too? Like, are you going to go
That's
down
funny.
that
I
route?
was just thinking about merch today.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something that used to crush it at Body
Yeah.
Rock. Our
Yeah,
apparel
that's a
line.
huge,
Oh my
Really?
God.
huge
Every
thing.
Yeah.
season
Oh,
you
yeah.
come out
Yep.
with like gear. And
I
it's
know
like,
Innovation does really
With
good with
merch.
their merch.
Yeah.
I don't know that, but from what I see,
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot of
they're
people wear
everywhere.
it.
Yeah.
They're-
Yeah.
they
you go
look-
into Edge Fitness, everybody's got like
Yeah.
Innovation
yeah,
shirts.
yeah.
On.
So they
It's a
probably
cool
do
name,
pretty
too.
well with that.
Yes,
No,
it is.
it's a catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got all their sweatshirts. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
problem.
I just bought one the other day. Yeah.
But
And
the
you-
thing about like online is there are so many different ways to earn income.
That's what I mean.
You know what I mean?
It's-
Like
yeah.
really, there's like you can do digital products where you right like a recipe
Yeah.
book, put that sucker on Etsy or wherever your Stanley store. Like there are so many opportunities to earn income,
Yeah.
but stay within like the umbrella of what you do. So like for me, I own a consulting business. 80% of it is I'm helping women transform their bodies. But I'm like, hey, now that I have a grip on this, how to build a business online, let me teach other
That's
coaches.
because that's so valuable.
Yeah.
It's like you can give somebody $20, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that $20 they'll spend in a minute, or you can teach somebody how to make
Yes.
$20.
Yeah.
And then they can just keep doing it over
Doing
and
it.
over and over again.
Rinse and repeat.
So I, you know, a lot of people are haters on the online coaching.
Yeah.
Oh, like, you know, they think you're getting scammed or whatever,
Mhm.
but they don't understand that like you're teaching them a skill
Skill.
that they're going to have forever. So
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
And
I'm-
and you need a lot of different coaches because not
Mhm.
one coach fits everybody.
Right.
So there's
Right.
not an overabundance of online coaches
Right.
because you are going to handle 150, he's going to handle the other 150,
Yeah.
but we still need more people
More-
to
oh,
be able to
yeah.
help
Absolutely.
others.
Absolutely.
So you guys are diving into Make wellness too.
Yes.
So
Yep.
what,
We just started
let's
with
talk
that.
about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about Make. I because of everything I think that happened with Advocare, I was
Mhm.
very hesitant. It's a different business model in the sense where they're really focusing on the affiliate model, which I love. So what that means is, yes, you can build a team if you want, but you don't have
You
to.
don't have
You
to.
can make a significant amount of income just sharing product if you love it. And I love that because with Advocare, you had to be in the trenches building
Yeah.
a team in
Every
order to
month,
win.
Yeah.
So we're loving the products,
Good.
and we're loving the compensation plan and how they're structuring everything. Where I'm like, if you love the peptides
Mhm.
and you have someone that you can help or share it with, you can make a significant amount of income doing that.
Yeah.
You don't have to put yourself in this leadership position where now you're kind of like managing other people in a team.
Yeah.
You can, but you don't have to, you know?
I like that
So-
that idea too, because I mean, like you with the whole online, you're coaching women,
Yep.
but they want to know what you're taking.
Yes.
So it's as easy as saying, well, here's your link.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not that pressure of like you're saying, building that huge
And
team.
it simplifies it, because I was talking about this, I think, on my stories not too long ago. As a coach, I get that question all the time. Is this product good? Can you look into this line? I'm like, I don't have all the time in the world to sit there and, research every line. So just having one that you trust, that you can direct people to, it keeps it simple. Yeah.
You guys have a very unique relationship, business and so working wise and relationship wise.
Yeah.
I was talking to Greg at the gym the other day, and we were talking about I think Matt's parents and how they work together.
Yeah.
And
The body shop.
Yeah. And I asked you if work ever gets in, mixed up in your relationship, if it ever affects your relationship. And his response was, me and Nicole get along awesome.
Yeah.
Like we work really well together.
Mm-hmm.
How has that formed, and how do you guys, how do you guys make that so strong?
It just came pretty easy. I don't know.
I think
like,
we're just both very easygoing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just easy.
If there's no thought behind it, then that's usually it's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
It's the same way with us. It's like we
taught classes together, and it was just like it was easy.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just,
It just came natural. Like,
and I think we both have very different strengths, and they play off of each other well too. So
yeah. All right, let's take a quick commercial break to bring you our sponsor, Burns Roofing. I've been personal friends with Eric for over 20 years. He's an incredible stand-up businessman. And if you ever need anything regarding roofing in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, give them a call. They do honest, hard work, and he is my go-to whenever I need anything in roofing needs.
How did you two meet? Because you
When I
said
was
you're
a
from way
bartender.
down in Mass. She's from up
she
here.
was-
I'll tell the story.
Okay.
So
Oh,
I am not the type to like check guys out. Like, I just have never been the type.
Yeah.
But one night when I was bartending at the Strand, I was
The good old
literally
Strand.
pouring.
The
I'll
Strand.
never forget it.
I had
I
an El
was
Chapo
pouring-
shirt on that night.
and you with some like hot chicks
Oh,
too.
God.
I was like, wow. Anyway, I was pouring a drink, minding my own business, and I literally looked up, and he was like, "Where you're at?"
Oh.
And I was like, and the drink started to pour like onto the bar and not in the cup. And I like, it was honestly the first time I've like been
Love
like
at
that.
first
Like, I just
sight.
thought he was the hottest thing. So that's how we first met. You were like my customer
Yeah.
at the bar.
That's cool.
Right,
Yeah.
probably
I love
03.
that.
The
Yeah.
good old days. So.
And I forget. who's the
2003,
kid you
man.
were
That's
with?
20
I
something
forget.
years.
Yeah.
20, 40,
Congratulations.
25 years.
That's amazing.
Crazy.
Wow.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you're not
cool.
even 40 yet. You don't even know.
No, I'm 38. Yeah,
Oh, are
38.
you?
Dude, I thought I was actually 38 already last year.
Yeah, I asked him at the gym, and it took him like a couple minutes to
Yeah.
figure it out.
I asked her.
He
my
has amnesia for some reason.
my birthday means nothing. I just
Like,
don't.
I'm
I don't think about my
37,
birthday. But no, I went all last year thinking I was already 38. So when I turned 38, it felt like I kind of,
Yeah.
You already,
already
I-
lived
We've
it.
been there for a
I've
year.
been
so,
there before. Yeah.
Oh, that's so
Oh, yeah.
funny.
I want to talk about your fighting career a little bit,
Yeah.
because you are definitely like a local legend.
Yeah.
You've done so much in the sport.
Yeah.
You're training so many like awesome people now. You were on the Dana White Contender series, correct?
Yeah, I was on The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
I
What
on
was
the
that
Contender
like, man?
series. That was cool. It was
What was
just
the
like,
Ultimate Fighter like? What was the house like?
and back then you had to fight to get into the house. So I remember I lost a split decision to the kid who lost in the finale. So I like went home. I was there for like 3 days, and then you have to fight to get into the house. So I lose a decision. It was Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz were the coaches.
No
so we get
way.
to
Was
hang out
that
with them.
season?
Yeah, it was that season.
No
so yeah, it was
kidding.
pretty wild. It was like, but yeah,
Dude,
it
that was
was
like-
still kind of new. It was season 11.
Was that the season after the Rich Franklin season? I think it was.
I'm not sure who Rich Franklin was on it with.
Do you know which fight I'm talking? Like the Rich Franklin and Stefan Bonner fight, the Ultimate Fighter fight that like kind of blew up.
No, Forrest Griffin.
Forrest Griffin,
Yes.
Stefan Bonner.
So that was in 2005. I was on the Ultimate Fighter in like 09.
Okay,
I was
so
on
it was a few
season
years
11.
later.
So it was
Yeah,
like
not
10
too-
seasons after.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was probably like, it was like 4 or 5 years later.
Yep.
So it was like, but back then, everybody, once you get on the show, you got into the house no matter what. So in this season, I think the season I was on is when they started, they would have 32 guys show up and you had to
Wow.
fight to get into the house.
Oh my gosh.
So we literally showed up and they're like, you got to cut weight.
Was that televised? Was that part
that
of the
was
show?
on maybe Spike TV back in the day.
But was
Remember
that part of the show? You guys fighting to get into the house?
Yeah.
Oh, was, yeah.
So it was like, and that was Spike TV. I mean, that was back in the day. It's not even around anymore. I don't think.
Yeah, no,
And,
I don't think so.
But I remember
But
that.
I remember that, dude.
But
Spike
I remember
TV,
like
hell
flying
yeah.
out there. I'm like, all right, I'm going to be gone for 6 weeks or 5 weeks, whatever the show was, 4 weeks. And then we show up there and they're like, you know, you got to weigh in tomorrow. So, all right, we weigh in. Then they call my name to like fight somebody. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
You had no idea?
we didn't really know like what was going on. So yeah, you had to fight to get into the house. So like everybody that's going there, then we're like, oh crap. So I'm like looking at my opponent. We're like, this is crazy. Like, all right. So then we fought the next day. He beat me, and then half of us went home. We flew home.
Okay.
So like the next day, so they
How
got
did
you
he
out
beat
of
you?
there. By decision. It was kind of like
It went 3 rounds?
yeah, it was like a kind of a boring fight.
Or was
a
it
good
one
wrestler.
round? Was it one round at first?
No, I think this might have been 2 rounds. I think it was just 2 rounds.
So did you meet Dana? Like, did you guys have a conversation?
That's cool.
Yeah,
And-
I met
and-
Dana. Like I've met Dana a few times. So I met him there on the Ultimate Fighter, and then I met him another time. So Dana's bodyguard, this guy Bobby Moore, who's passed away, but he was like a maniac from South Boston. He used to train with me in Boston, and then he became Dana's bodyguard, and he flew out to Vegas. So he called me randomly like one night and was like, "Hey, Dana's flying into town. They're filming something for Spike TV." Like a show that they're trying to get Dana to be on or whatever. So I'm like, all right. And I was bartending in Boston at the time. And he's like, Dana wants to go out tonight for like a couple drinks. So I'm like, I'll set it up like wherever you want to go. It was like a Monday night, but I knew all the promoters out there. So I called my buddy. He was the promoter of this club called Saint. And it was like a downstairs place. And it was a place where like all bartenders would go like on an off night and everybody hung out. It was always busy. And he was a giant UFC fan. So I'm like, Rob, Dana White's coming right now. And he's like, shut up. Like, he's not. It's a Monday night. It's a Monday night. It's like February in Boston. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, I had just left the gym. I'm like, I'm in sweatpants and Nikes. I'm coming there right now. And this is a place where you got to like dress up.
Oh my
I'm like, I'm
gosh.
coming with Dana White right now. Like, I'm meeting my buddy Bobby there and Dana. And he's like, if you meet him here, he can have whatever he wants and I'll charge him $1 all night. So I'm like, all right. So I pull up, my buddy Bobby gets out, Dana gets out. He's got like a little entourage of guys with him. My buddy's like, you gotta be shitting me. Like, Dana White's here. And so we went downstairs and he got us like a VIP. The place was packed. And Dana and I sat there just like this. Like, it's so funny. Like, people hate on him so much. Like, he's an asshole and he needs to pay the fighters more. Like, you get him out of the fight game. He's like, we didn't talk about fights one time. Like,
Nice.
we just sat and talked for like 2 hours. Like he was sitting like this, like the whole night. And it was, we just talked about life. He was telling me stories about like how he got into the UFC. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard the story. Like, he was a
He
was
ran
a-
out of Boston.
he was a manager, like a boxing promoter.
Yeah.
He was managing like a
Wow.
couple of boxers locally.
Mayweather.
And Kevin Weeks, who was Whitey Bulger's main hitman, like somebody called the gym and was like, "You're gonna pay us, or we're gonna like fucking kill you or whatever." So he like got in a cab, went to Boston,
Vegas.
and flew because I think he went to college with the Fertitta brothers.
Yep.
And they were the ones that were like talking about buying the UFC, and he was like, "We're gonna buy the UFC. I'm coming right now." And he left and never looked
I
back.
think it was Dana that actually approached the Fertitta brothers. He went out to Vegas and he started
They had a
training
meeting.
jujitsu.
Yes.
He started training jujitsu and he's like, I love this. And in the gym, he was invited to a UFC fight.
Yeah.
He went to the UFC fight and he started looking around and noticing that they were hurting.
Yeah.
And he got word that they were
'Cause he
that they
knew
were
the
selling.
other guy that had owned it at the time. I
Yes.
can't remember his name.
He got word that they were
Yes.
selling. He called the Fertitta brothers and was
$2
like, listen,
million
man.
they paid for it.
Yep. I got this thing. I think it could be huge. We can blow this thing up. Fertittas were like, all right, let's try it. I think they lost
Tons of money.
They lost millions.
Yes.
And they were actually about to pull the plug. They were
So
about
he-
to sell to
Wow.
to Shane McMahon.
Yes, Vince McMahon.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
So
right.
he bought
That's
it in
right.
2002, I want to say.
Yep.
And then for 3 years, they struggled. Their pay-per-views blew. Joe Rogan was commentating
For
for free.
Yeah.
17 fights.
And the thing that made that was the Forrest Griffin Stephen Bonner fight. It was
Yep.
the Ultimate Fighter 1,
Yep.
which one of my training partners, Kenny Florian, was on it.
Yep.
He made it to the finals at 185.
Is Florian from Boston?
He's from
from-
Boston.
oh,
yeah.
is he?
He lives in like South Carolina now.
No
But yeah,
kidding.
he was, fought for 2 world titles in the UFC.
Yeah,
He
and
made
of
it
course.
big. But that season and that fight, I think that fight got like 7 million people watching it.
Dude,
At that time, the Griffin, and that is literally like he would say it. He's like, that's what
that's
escalated the UFC. That's how- that's what
100%.
built it.
100%. I watched the UFC back in like the Ken Shamrock days. Ken Shamrock, Tito Ortiz. I think that might have been a little bit before the UFC, the Ultimate Fighter. But yeah, man, that day on Spike TV just exploded the UFC.
Exploded it.
Yeah, Dana White's one of my favorite. Like, there's a few people that I look up that like I look at and I'm like, that guy's got it.
He's the man.
Dana White,
Yeah.
PBD,
He's another one. There's my two right there. We're in
Yeah.
the same boat.
Yeah.
Patrick
Yeah.
Brett Davis.
Those two guys right there, man, are
My buddy
just,
trains his kids in Florida.
Really?
Really?
No kidding.
Yeah. My buddy Sean Soriano, who's from Rhode Island.
Yeah.
He's one of the head coaches down in Florida. And he coaches.
Tasca flies him a lot. Yeah.
He's the man, dude.
Yeah, dude, he's always,
He's the man.
just the way he carries himself. I said it before on the podcast.
When he starts speaking, man, everybody listens.
You
He's
listen.
like one of those
You
guys,
listen.
dude.
When you get somebody that like gets excited about debates and gets excited about history, and that's a special person, man. So like, I follow a lot of the stuff and I listen to a lot of stuff like him, Rogan. There's a couple of guys that when they talk, I just listen.
Yeah.
Because like, especially Rogan, man, he has thousands of professionals on in their respected area. And he gets to gather his own opinion about certain things. And that opinion matters because he's talking to professionals in those areas.
Yeah.
So he's able to weed out the bullshit. He's able to like form a really good opinion on whatever
like guys
topic
being
it is.
dudes. Like it's
And
a regular
he's just
conversation.
so
like,
himself.
Yeah.
Like,
I love it.
I love Joe.
I love it.
Yeah, he's just like
he's the
the
man.
man's
dude.
man, but he's like
he retains so much
Oh, it's
information.
yeah,
it's
he's
crazy.
very
He's
smart.
able to recall.
Yeah.
But think about it, just because of that podcast, like how smart and intelligent he's
Yeah,
become because of all
true.
this
That's what
crap
I mean.
that he's into. Because every time he has a guest on, he's studying all this stuff. He's asking all these questions.
Yep.
And like, he's a smart dude. Man.
Yeah.
And I love how he thinks outside the box. Like he'll listen to what somebody has to say and then he'll formulate his own opinion. But really he takes in a lot and he's like, you know what? That makes sense.
Yes.
That has facts.
Yeah.
Right.
Aliens exist.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a
yes,
fact.
The earth is
if he
flat.
says
Yeah,
it, then it's true.
Yeah.
And he doesn't give a shit what people think.
No,
Yes,
he
I
doesn't.
love that.
That's
He's
the
another,
biggest-
like I've met him once. He's such a cool dude. Man.
Really?
He's just
That's
like, that's exactly how he is. How you see him. Like, he's a cool dude.
You were involved in the Contender series in 2017, 18?
Yeah. So let's see. After the Ultimate Fighter, I was on that. I was like, shoot, I didn't make it. Like I went, then I flew home. So I'm like, damn, like what's next? Like, is it over? Like, is that it? And like, I don't know. It was just, I was kind of frustrated with it. I'm like, shoot, is that it? Is that like my only shot to get into the UFC? Like, I don't know. And then Bellator was like, it had come around back then. So then one of their guys called my manager and was like, hey, Bellator is coming to Boston. Like, we want Greg to fight in the card. So I'm like, sweet. And that was, I had fought over the winter. It was like February for the UFC. And then I signed with Bellator and fought for them in like May of that year. So I fought at the Wayne Theater in Boston, like downtown, for Bellator like a few months later. And then I won that fight. I had a couple more fights with Bellator then. So it was kind of like, just kept the ball rolling. And then by the time that came around is when that's when CES started to come around. Yeah. Because I remember I was
CS
training
MMA.
with, CS MMA. So I was training with Mike Campbell. He was like still like a really good friend of mine till this day.
Yeah.
And he had fought for them. And I was like, all right.
He was huge.
Mike was big.
He was
and then,
huge.
Todd. I was fighting. Todd and I fought professionally against each other. And then we started training with each other.
I never knew that until you told me that the other day. I didn't know you guys had fought.
Yeah, we fought in like 2000.
Who won?
I did.
Did you?
You
Come
did.
on.
I saw him at the mall not too long ago.
Todd and I became friends.
Todd's one of my really good friends. Yeah.
As soon as that fight was over, we've been buddies ever since, and we trained together ever since. But Todd was like, Todd's, he's a street kid. He's a hard head.
Yeah.
So like I knew how to get into those guys' heads.
Yeah.
And I would talk crap to him during the fight, and he would make a mistake, and I would take him down. And just I knew he wasn't good on the ground. So like back then, we both. That was before the Ultimate Fighter. So I think Todd had 3 fights and I had like 3. So we both stunk, to be honest with you, back then. But it was like we just didn't know a lot, dude. But I knew that Todd was not good on the ground, and I was pretty good at that point. So I like suckered him into like a fight, like a street fight, and then I just took him down and beat him on the ground.
So what was it like? Because I know there was a point where like jiu-jitsu started getting big, wrestling started getting big, and you had to like switch your style
All right,
up.
so like when I fought Todd, it was all the best guys in New England were just jiu-jitsu guys. They would just take you down and submit you. Like boxing, Todd was just a boxer. I was more of a kickboxer, but I was started doing jiu-jitsu a lot more. So like back then, everybody that had like a really good ground game was winning. They were all like the best guys in New England. And then all of a sudden, the college wrestlers started coming in.
Yeah.
And the jiu-jitsu guys couldn't take them down.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, the college wrestlers started to get really good at boxing. So not only you couldn't take them down, but their striking was unbelievable. And then
you got to see every phase, man.
It's crazy. So I had my first fight in February 26, 2005. I fought at Club Avalon on Lansdowne Street. And I was like, what the hell? I played hockey like my whole life. I played in the EJHL. I played juniors. And I was like, all right, what's next? Like I always needed something to do,
Yeah.
So then I started going with my buddy Pat Schultz, who fought in the UFC. And he was an unbelievable hockey player, unbelievable baseball player. And he was the same way as I am. Like he you need something. Like I need something
You need
to
the
fill that
competition.
void. Yeah.
You need something.
And it's
yeah.
like, is
You
it
need
over?
something.
Like, you know, he was done playing hockey. I was done playing hockey. Like, I'm like, what's next? So I think I was like 22 years old. And we saw like he went to like a jiu-jitsu class and he's like, dude, it was awesome. Like, you got to come down there. You're going to love it. And I'm like, what? I'd watched the UFC, but I'm like, all right, like, I don't know. So I went down there and I was like hooked immediately. I was there every day, every night.
I'm starting to fall in love with it. I just started training with Gary.
So, like, yeah, it's awesome.
I never thought I would, dude. I'm a boxer, dude.
Yes, and jiu-jitsu and then like just the people. Everybody's so cool. It's like a little
yeah,
brotherhood.
they are, dude.
And then I trained for like a year. And then my trainer at the time was like, he's like, man, you guys are getting really good. Let's sign you up for a fight. And I'm like a grappling match? Like, like an MMA fight. So this was in 2004 when I had signed up. And I fought February. So it was like just turning 2005. So the Ultimate Fighter that show hadn't even come out yet. And this is before like all that. So I'm like, all right, like MMA, like I hadn't seen the Ultimate Fighter. I didn't really know what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, like I'm like, okay, let's just take a fight. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, I love to fight. Like, so
Yeah.
let's just do it.
Hockey's rough
Hockey,
and tough.
like
So,
you know,
yeah,
when I
can
was a
imagine.
kid, I was an idiot, like fighting in the street all the time. Like,
Yep.
Beating up cops.
yeah, so I was like,
Oh, no.
yes, good lord, dude. So
What happened? You want to tell that story?
No.
Why not?
Sounds like a juicy one.
So
It's another episode.
yes, good lord. So we signed up for a fight, and back then, this is like the craziest thing. The weigh-ins were an hour before you fought,
Ugh.
so you had no idea who you're fighting. So I show up, and I'm like, all right, I'm with my buddy Pat and my trainer. Club Avalon, the place is like that. You remember that nightclub? Did you ever go there?
Yeah,
back in the day?
once.
It was a huge nightclub. And
Yeah.
it was like 3 floors of balconies, and the balconies looked over the main dance floor. That's where they put the ring. It was a ring.
Wow.
So like all of my friends that bought front row tickets, like when the ring is the size of this room, it's tiny. Like I can high five my friends. They're all trashed
Wow.
amongst
It was
whatever
that
else they're
close?
on.
It was
Yeah.
that close?
It was, and there was so many people there because once the last fight was over, it turned into a nightclub. Like the
Yeah.
DJ booth was like next to the ring.
Jeez, with the
I'm
ring
like,
just
oh
sitting in
my
the middle?
god. And then so I remember I go in there and I am like nervous. Then I get nervous as soon as I show up. I'm like, what am I getting myself into? Like, what is happening? My whole family's there. I sold probably 500 tickets. I was bartending in Boston.
Wow.
Everybody that I knew went before the bartending shift started because I fought at probably like 9 o'clock.
Wow.
So I'm like, all right, Greg, just don't get beat up in front of your friends. Because I didn't care about losing. I just cared about my friends making fun of me for the rest of my life.
Forever.
No, well, you right. In
That's what
fighting,
I mean, yes.
fighting, it's like you don't want to lose because you don't want to let everybody
I
down.
tell people all
Yeah.
the time, like I trained so hard because I knew my friends are like just ball busters like I am. And I didn't care about, I'm not afraid to lose. I'm not afraid to be like, oh, I lost. Like,
Yeah,
it is what
yeah.
it is. Everybody loses
Yeah.
like if you get into the sport. But it's the ball busting from my
Yeah.
parents,
Yeah.
my brother,
From
my
your
friends.
parents.
Yes.
Parents.
My mom. Oh, I have text
Your
messages of my
mom?
mom's. Yes. My mom would get right into it. Yeah. Right into it. Like bad. Yeah.
Wait, tell them the story.
Wait, can I finish the story? Oh my God.
I love his mom.
So I'm in the locker room. I put my bags down, and then this little nerdy kid with like huge cauliflower ears walks in. And the place is silent. We're all sitting like waiting for the commission to weigh us all in and tell us. I have no idea who I'm fighting. And he shows up and he drops his bags and he goes, I'll fight anybody in this room. And I was like, I looked at my coach and I was like, I'm not fucking fighting that kid. Like, who the hell is that kid? It was Joe Lozon.
Oh,
Who
shit.
fought in the UFC.
Nice.
And he's actually like a really good buddy
Yeah,
of mine
yeah,
now. But he's
yeah.
like this little nerd. He's got the worst cauliflower ears you've ever
Yeah,
seen.
yeah.
And I'll never forget it.
Looks
till
like
this
a
day.
wicked
He's like,
nerd,
I will
for
fight
sure.
anybody in this room. And he dropped his bags and like
Wow.
waited for somebody
That's how
to
he
pull
walked
up.
in?
Yeah. And somebody pulled out in the main event. He ended up being the main event that night. He went up like 3 weight classes and finished some guy in the first round.
What the
So I'm
hell?
like, what the hell, dude? So then
What does he weigh?
145,
Okay, yeah,
155.
I thought
he fought at like
extreme
185.
weight
Yeah,
difference.
he didn't care. He's
Yeah.
a maniac. man.
Wow.
So then they call me up. I weigh in. I was like 220. Then they call my opponent up, and his name was Eddie Knuckles. That was his name. So I'm like, all right, like I can. And he's got tattoos on his face, tattoos all over his stomach. He has a huge biker gang. I don't know what biker gang he was in, but he had all these guys with him. Like, and you know how you get nervous when you're a kid and you pee a little bit? Like that's kind of what happened. So I'm like, oh my God, like what did I get myself into?
That's
So
awesome.
we weigh in, we square off, we go back in the room, we get gloved up, and we were fighting like less than an hour later.
Wow.
So I was like, and I was like, oh my God. So I come out first, my entrance music plays, I walk out, my dad and my brother in the front row, I see everybody, I am like
Freaking
pale white.
out.
I'm like, this is crazy. Like, what am I doing? I'm like, I love to fight, but this is like, is this
The
real? This is happening.
adrenaline.
It was like an out of body experience. So I walk out, I get in the cage. And then, of course, my opponent comes out to no music. I'm like, all right. Like, I was scared at first. Now I just shit my
Like
pants.
Tyson used to
came
do
out
that.
he just walks out, like
Silence.
walks out to silence,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
looking like he wants to kill the world. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wipe my face. I'm looking. And then that's one thing, you can never judge a book by its cover. Like the fight started and I ended up knocking him out like pretty quick into the first round.
Really?
And then after that, like,
is that fight on YouTube?
That one is not.
No.
Oh no.
There's a bunch of ones, but that was
bummer.
so long ago. I don't even know if I have. I think my mom probably has that fight from like years ago.
Yeah.
But I remember like winning that fight, and I was like, I always tell people, like, if I could take the feeling you get from winning a fight, like knocking somebody out in front of your friends and put it in a bottle, I would be the richest man in the world. And I could sell it. Like,
I love that.
as soon as that was over, I was like, that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as that happened, I was like, all right,
I'm hooked.
I got to start adding everything in. Then I started to find like different coaches.
Yeah.
I got introduced to a bunch of other people. And then, yeah, from then on, I taught a few fights later. Then we started training together. And when we started training together, that's how I met Pete and Keith.
Yep.
And then it just kind of escalated from there. And I was living in Massachusetts. I was training in Boston. So I was doing a lot of traveling. And then when I moved to Rhode Island, I was full-time with Pete and Keith. And then, I fought for the Ultimate Fighter. I fought on Bellator, which was the number 1 and number 2 organizations in the world.
For sure.
And then CES at that point, that's when they made it big. They had signed with Access TV, which is Mark Cuban's TV channel.
I remember that.
So that's when it was like, it was so,
that was like 2017, 16, right?
Before that.
Was it?
Yeah. So I fought an NFL player named Tyler King. And that was my first fight. That was like 2014. So Access TV was huge. Because I remember back then, as soon as they found out I was fighting on Access, I never paid for a glove, for a pair of shorts. The sponsor money was like rolling in. It was just easy back then. Like, And, having a TV deal is like such a big deal. But that's when it was like, in my opinion, like, it goes up and down. But New England MMA was like at its peak. CES was like one of the best shows in the country at that point.
For sure.
But it's shifted. Now as everything's going to like a stream. So, they're trying to figure out like what's next. And they're going to get on something eventually.
Yeah.
But that was, I fought for them. And then right before COVID is when I fought in the Contender Series.
Yeah.
Which was another I fought on season 1. I think I was episode 1 of the Contender Series.
Oh, wow.
So again,
for Dana
White Contender Series. I was on the first episode of season 1.
And that's 2017.
17, yeah, 16 or 17.
Yeah.
So I fought another kid, Zhu Anyanwu, who's a buddy of mine. He's like another kid who was like, I was the best guy in New England, and he was like the best guy in like New Jersey, that whole area. And but we were probably the 2 best heavyweights on the East Coast. And he's like a really tough kid. I knew it was going to be like a dogfight.
Yep.
And so my manager was like, "You're fighting Zhu. Like the winner gets a UFC contract." So I'm like, "All right, like here we go." And then so I flew to Vegas. I did my interview, all the bull crap. And I don't know. I'm one of those people, like, I would never make an excuse. Zhu fucking caught me. He's like he's a monster. Like, he caught me with a good shot. It was a great fight up until that point. It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
But I'm one of those guys that, like, I don't get nervous, like, when there's, like, a million people there. Like, I, like, get amped up. Like, like, as soon as I would go to Twiniver and sell the tickets, like, as soon as I would walk out, like, and hear, like, the crowd and people, like, because people like to see me fight. Like, that's what, like, amped me up.
Yeah.
In the Contender Series, there's no... Especially season 1, there's nobody in the crowd.
Yeah, there's nobody there.
One of my other buddies, there was
so
probably
awkward.
10 people there. So you walk out and it's like,
So you thrive off the energy.
you can't even clap. They don't allow you to clap because they want like no sound. We're sitting in a room like this, a locker room. Then they don't tell you anything. Like when you're up, the door open, ESPN cameras in my face, and they're like, "You're up," and I'm like, "What?" Like,
what was it like for you, Nicole, to go through all of that and watch?
I just said the other day, I'm reliving it now with my kids wrestling. That same
oh,
feeling.
is he wrestling?
Yeah.
Sick.
Oh yeah, they both
Something
are.
like takes over me. I can't control like my nerves. I shake every time he would come out. It was the initial walkout, just like shaking, palms sweating. I thought I was going to puke.
Yeah.
And then after like a few seconds, or if you made it to like the second round, I was fine. It's just that like build up. I was a mess.
Yeah.
And I turned into like some crazy lady.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I have videos of her. I have videos of her throwing like gang signs. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, who are you? Like, what are we?
I like turned into just.
Yes. Yeah. It's funny because I remember one of my fights on TV. Like, I went home immediately and watched it on Access TV and rewound it. And I love to like look at my friends' reactions in the back, and then I would film it and send it to them, and I'd be like, "You guys are idiots! Like, what are you doing?" Like, and like some of the reactions are pretty funny. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But.
What's it like making money up for that sport? Is you shouldn't get into it for the money, is what I'm trying to say. Correct?
So, all right, well, back to Dana White again. Dana White always said it best. He said it's not a career. He said it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like the best way to put it. Like,
yeah.
It's not. It's
a
an
window
opportunity.
of opportunity.
Yeah, it's a
very
short window of opportunity. So
man.
like for me, so like the fighting has built my business. Like the only reason if I didn't win a world title and didn't have all these belts and didn't fight at like a high level, a lot of these people wouldn't train with me. Why would they? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
So did you know that when you, like, during your career, did you know that it was going to spin off into something that eventually would be profitable for you?
Yeah, absolutely. That was like the goal always at the end. Because it's weird. I got into it at a wrong time because now there's never been more opportunity to make it to the UFC than there is right now. Back when I was fighting, it was like you needed to be on a 10-fight win streak, the absolute best guy in New England, in order to get an opportunity to fight there. Now it's like if you get 3 or 4 wins in a row, the Contender Series.
If you're an exciting fighter,
if you're exciting and you're fun to watch,
yeah,
that's the whole key. You got to be marketable. You got to be exciting.
Nate Diaz changed that game, I think.
You have to be. McGregor, like inside and outside of the cage, you have to have like, you got to have that it factor. And if you don't, like it's.
Yeah, you can be a really good fighter, but if you don't have that, they'll actually look at a Nate Diaz. Not saying Nate Diaz is a bad fighter, but he's not as good as a lot of fighters.
But he was always in big fights.
He was always in big fights. And it's entertaining. He would sell tickets.
People watching. Let's look at Conor McGregor. He's 1-5 in his last 6 fights.
Yeah.
If he fights MMA again, it will be one of the biggest pay-per-views in UFC history.
Which I mean,
he's got that it factor.
Yeah.
Like he's, the people, whether they want to see him lose or win, they want to watch.
Yep.
Same with like Mayweather, guys like that. Like you have to be super marketable. Like you have to check all those boxes, especially now. Because like what's so big? Instagram, TikTok, and all this other stuff. Like all that stuff generates so much money for the UFC. Like,
it generates so much money for everybody. I feel like we're in an era right now where times are changing. Things are changing so fast. We're trying to get on it. Like we're trying to figure out how can we create revenue with Instagram right now. We're trying to put out as much content as we can, even if we don't want to. Like there's times where I'm like, I don't even want to do this. I don't want to record this. I don't want to put this out right now. But she's just like, just put it out. Who cares? Like I want to just disappear most of the time because like it's just like it gets to the point where it's overwhelming. You're like you're chasing likes, and you're like, if that doesn't do good, then you're like, oh, what did I do wrong? And then it kind of messes with you a little bit. Not like the comments. The comments, I don't pay attention to that, but it's the performance. It's like I'm so hard on myself. It's like if that doesn't do good, then I beat myself up, and it's like, why isn't this working faster? But
trying
like,
to reinvent the wheel. When really it's like
I think it just comes down to consistency. So like if you're just consistent with your content and you just, we've been like pretty consistent now for about 8 months. And like we don't plan on stopping. We're calling it the 5-year plan. We're going to give this thing 5 years and we're just going to go. And those days that we don't want to do it, we're just going to, if I don't want to do it one day, she's got my back and she's going to say, do it. Vice versa. If she doesn't want to do it, I'm just going to say, just put it out.
Yeah.
Because like when you least expect it, those videos that you don't think are going to do good, those are the ones that take off.
Gains traction, it takes off.
And even if they don't, and this is something I'm working on with the students inside the OCC that I launch, is this. Just if you stay consistent, I'm telling you, people are watching, whether they double tap to like it or not. And the best thing you all can do is, we don't own Instagram, we rent. The best thing you can do is funnel people to something you own, which is an email list. So like VIP list, join our wait list for whatever it is that you're offering, a service, a product, and use Instagram as leverage to just get your brand out there, like brand awareness. Don't worry about the likes and the engagement. I was talking to a coach once a month. I do a mastermind with other high-level coaches. She has not even 5,000 followers. The girl makes over 100K a month.
I know. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And you think like you have to have millions in order to win, and it's not that way anymore.
So a lot of brands will see the engagement. They'll say, okay, this post is reaching 3,000 people. She's getting 200 people that are liking it, and there's 20 people, 30 people that are commenting. Okay, if we push this product and they start seeing the referral codes and they start coming in, these brands, they don't care about they care about what they're selling at the end of the day, their bottom line. They don't care about your numbers. If it works, it's going to work. So like there's so many different opportunities right now. It's just like you said, like even if they're not liking, you're still building the brand.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that. And that's like this year, one of our goals is just to keep building the brand, the podcast, the work stuff, everything that we're doing. We're just trying to build the brand overall, because it's going to end up, the opportunity that comes right around the corner that you don't see right now. It just, how it is. Tomorrow you can get a phone call because somebody looked at your post and it could completely change the entire year. You could get a deal or an offer. Like that's how it is. That's why I love
what you both are doing, by the way, and consistency of it. That's what's going to build trust. And I always tell everyone, it's a numbers game.
It is.
Business is a numbers game. Just keep showing up, stay consistent.
Yeah.
Just I always say it's so parallel to like your goals within your fitness journey. You don't do one push-up and then you're in shape.
yeah.
Right.
It's consistency,
I
day
wish,
in, day
yeah.
out, same thing, hard work. You don't see that the results are ever going to come. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, right? And that's business. It's like, just keep going. There's no way you're going to lose, because most people will quit year one because their ego gets in the way and they're like, I'm not getting the traction and I'm not producing what I want. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like, you just have to keep
do.
going.
There are definitely days where like, are you sure
Yeah.
you want to?
And
Yeah,
it's
we're gonna
hard
do
'cause
it.
showing up on social media. Like, I don't think people talk about that enough. Lately, I have my seasons where I'm like, if I could just delete the app, I would be
Yes,
Yeah,
I
for
do that
real.
all the time.
and I love to create. Like, I love creating reels. I have fun with
Yeah,
it.
we do
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
is like, no matter how confident you are, or right, it's like it starts to mess with you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, especially the algorithm right now, everyone's stumped.
It's
Yeah.
They're
weird.
like,
It's
it
we're
is.
wacky. I
getting
can't figure it
no
out, man.
views. Like,
Yeah.
One video
Yeah.
will have 20,000 views. The
Yep.
next video will have 1,000.
Yep.
The next video will have
5.
7 likes, and then it'll
Yeah.
have 100 likes.
Yep.
It's
It's
all
weird.
over the place.
Yeah.
all over the place. Yeah. So it's just stay consistent through it and
Yeah.
show up.
Yeah.
And that's how you build trust. But people are watching. People are watching. Most clients that end up working with me, they always say, I've been watching you. I've been wanting to work with you for like 2 years.
Wow.
2 years. And now you're
Yeah.
now you're
Yeah.
reaching out, you know?
Yeah, no,
So
I know. I've
that's it, though.
known
Yeah.
about you for years
Yeah.
because of your social media, and same thing
Yeah.
with yourself.
Yeah, he actually told me about you when we first started making our account and we we're doing the fitness hardcore. I found you and he's like, oh yeah, I've been watching her for years, and then we were able to connect through Make, and
Yeah.
and he's like, see, that manifestation
Yeah.
is working,
Yeah.
and it is true.
Manifestation
but
is a
yeah.
real thing.
it is a
really
real
is.
It
deal.
is
Yeah.
very real.
It really is.
So
It really is.
It's making those goals, putting it out there,
Mhm.
and like, I don't know, she's really big into it, and she's opened my eyes to it a
love
lot
it.
since we've met.
Mm-hmm.
But if you work towards a goal and you, like you said, you don't stop,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of attack every angle,
Yep.
it happens.
It
It does
happens.
happen.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like with the guests that we've had on, the people that are going to be coming on,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
you know, it's all falling together. You know, we go out a lot of the times now and people are like, oh, we watched the podcast.
Yep.
And there are people out like I would never expect
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
for them to
Yeah.
be watching. But
Thanks,
like,
Tiger.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
man.
he's gorgeous.
No, like
I
it's,
don't know
it's
Thank you
your
so
name.
much.
That's
beautiful.
cool though. Yeah.
yeah,
that's
it's like
beautiful, yeah.
they we were talking to somebody the other day that we had a brief conversation and they were like reciting one of our episodes and I forgot. I don't even watch these episodes.
Yeah.
I come in here, I sit down, I talk, I leave, and I don't watch
Yeah.
any of them because I'm too hard on myself.
Yeah.
If I watch them and I'm like, I shouldn't have said that or I shouldn't have done that, it'll mess with me.
Yeah.
I won't be as organic. I
Yeah.
won't be as genuine. And my whole thing is just be myself.
Yeah.
I just have a conversation.
Yeah.
you know.
It's just talk. I
Yeah.
want to get to know you. I want to get to know what you guys are doing
Mm-hmm.
and form a relationship that we can just carry on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like that's the whole point of this podcast was just the networking.
Yep.
Build the network. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I didn't come into this thing wanting to get views. I didn't care. It was strictly business. It was strictly networking.
Yeah.
Surrounding myself with people that are in fitness, are in business,
Yep.
and we can all work together. It's kind of like Ed Brady's philosophy.
Mhm.
It's like the more people you network with, your network is your net
Net
worth.
worth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's so
Sure.
freaking true, man.
No, it is for sure.
Talk about that a little bit on how your network and how that has expanded your business and
Man, it's like a decade-long project, over a decade of building networks within, like, again, like the fitness community and the competitors and meeting different coaches and that whole world. And then what we built with Body Rock, like that community, that network. The coolest part
did you ever
about-
think it was going to get that big?
No, nope,
Mm.
I did not.
You
No.
said
Isn't
the
it-
same
it-
thing about the
but-
podcast.
But
Yeah.
isn't it cool? Like
Yeah.
I was saying, isn't it cool? Like those things that you don't think are going to get big, those are usually the ones that end up taking off.
Yeah.
And the ones that you think are going to take off, it's like, what the fuck? They're not doing
I
anything.
remember there was this one holiday class. Our holiday classes used to get mobbed. We had 100 people in class, 50 inside, 50 outside. I think at that point we already had work, and I was just like, how did we get here?
4th of July class.
It was one of those like, holy crap moments. Like, we
Moments.
literally built this from nothing.
Yeah.
And to see it, like, it was just such an amazing experience. The coolest part about it was the community and then helping other people build whatever the heck they had going on.
Yeah.
You know, like I think of even still till today, like Andrea, Sweet Cheats,
Yeah.
right? She like it's like, no, go see Andrea. And like how we're all able to network and help each
every,
other out
every time
is
somebody
awesome.
asks for something, I'm like, I got a guy.
Yeah, I got a
woman.
guy, I got a girl.
That's Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny because that's the experience I've had since relocating to this area.
Yeah.
So what you guys are saying is what I've felt, but the initial everyone that I've spoken to is like, so how's it been? Like, have you been able to, it must be hard getting into New England and getting to know people. And it's just been a really, really welcoming atmosphere for me. So
that's awesome.
I love hearing that once you're in the community, you become part of the family. It's sad for those that have a hard time getting into the family, but it's really, I love, and that's what you guys were saying too, exactly what you missed when you moved to Florida, is there's too many transient people, and I feel what you're feeling, like what you're saying, that the family is here, and 500 tickets for your first fight, like that blows my mind. Trying to do that in Florida, it would be hard because
you're right.
I
think we take it for granted. We almost like, that's just the norm. We're it's so funny. I would laugh all the time and tell him like the thing that I wanted to get away from, meaning like we're all just like so tight knit. You go everywhere, you see everyone, I like wanted to get away. For some reason, I just like needed a break. I was like, I had reached my point, my breaking point. I was like, that's what I miss. Going to the market and be like,
camaraderie.
Hey, like, and that's what I missed the most when we lived there.
It is a good feeling when you go somewhere, like when you go to a fair or like the Cumberland Fest, and like you see all your people and you're conversating. It's people were meant to have that connection with you.
Social.
We're not meant to like be caged away and not know anybody, not communicate. Like, so there's something to that. There's something to having community and how important that is for people.
Which is where we're going to have to find the balance between online and because it's definitely changing the dynamics of everything, the fabric of human beings. A lot of people are reverting, like the VRs and
wait till
VR
Grand Theft Auto
sets.
comes out.
I feel like a lot of
that's
people
going to change a lot of in like the landscape of the video games, and even just like online. They're integrating like real money, like cryptocurrency in the game, so you can actually buy property, buy your house, buy your cars, buy your outfits, and trade it. And you can sell your house. You can buy it for something and sell it for more.
Wait,
they're going to integrate real.
Isn't that incredible?
But it's going to get to a point where people are going to be profitable on it, and there's going to be people that are staying inside because that's their career. That's where they're making money. So they're going to
crypto.
Crypto.
It's going to get wild.
Yeah.
It's going to get wild.
I'm laughing because during New Year's Eve, have you guys tried those damn Oculus?
Yeah.
Don't. Oh, good.
Listen
We
to
have
me.
them.
I think you put a video up on that or something.
I never posted it.
It was something else I was watching then.
Very funny story that we had never put those suckers on.
Like,
I did not realize how freaking real.
It's
so
immersive.
the landscape was the elevator doors would open, and then there was this like plank, not even that thick, and you'd walk out to like the top.
Oh, I know that one.
Like New York
I know
City
that one. Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I
Yeah.
couldn't even put my foot. It felt so real. This guy.
Balls to the wall. So I just go after it.
He just beelines, doesn't know that the TV's right there,
Oh,
keeps
no.
walking,
Oh,
breaks
my
the whole
God.
TV,
Smashes
smashes
it.
it with
Dude.
the Oculus goggles. We're all
I
like,
took it off. I'm like, did I just hit something? And like everybody in the whole room's laughing.
Oh my god!
I'm like, nobody stopped me. They're like, nobody was gonna stop you. Like,
Wow.
because
There is
everybody,
no
when I was
stopping
watching
you.
everybody do it, like as soon as they would stop, they would go like
was-
this, and they'd be like, "Oh fuck this," and they'd rip the headphones on. So I'm like, I'm just going.
Just
Just gonna go after it. I just walked straight across the plank, and then I looked down,
just kept walking.
and then I hit a TV, and then that was
That's
it. Yeah.
crazy.
I was like,
The
all
whole
right.
thing
I guess
shattered.
the whole TV shattered. I was like, I'm going home.
Yeah, technology's crazy.
God.
Are you
Oh,
guys
it
in
really
stocks
is.
at all?
No.
No. Stocks are important. I mean, it's for not for everybody, but I think with the way that technology is going right now, there's a few tech stocks, AI stocks that are just absolutely
Taking off.
Yeah. I mean, opportunities, I guess what I could say.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What kind of
Long-term
investments do you guys have?
investment.
Do you guys have real estate or anything? Or
No,
do
that's
you guys
like the
do you guys
next
have a
goal.
plan
Next
with
step,
That's the
Yeah.
next goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Stocks
been,
are important.
Honestly, like the past few years has been like, let's dig ourselves out of this shithole we were
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, I
It's
would
like one
talk.
thing
I would
after the
talk to
next.
somebody about starting a portfolio, and
Yeah.
like even if it's like $200 a week, $100
Yeah.
a week,
Yeah.
it adds up so fast,
Mhm.
so fast. I'll talk to you about it
Yeah.
off air, and like just like there's 5 stocks right now that are going to be going on for the next 10, 20 years. There's NVIDIA, which is a processing stock that is in every single new computer, every PlayStation. it's a tech stock, and it's
not going away. Yeah.
It's not going away. It's like Amazon. It's like you can't tell me that a company that you can press a button on your phone and a package shows up 6 to 12 hours later is ever going to fail, and there's no competition.
Yeah.
There is not another Amazon.
No.
So you can't tell me that stock is not going to quadruple in the next 10 years, which it has been doing for the last year after year after year. It's 5%, 8%, 10%. It just keeps going higher. Yeah. Same thing with Google. Google is the leading AI agency in the world right now, and they're just going to keep getting bigger. Tesla's just going to keep getting bigger because Elon has plans with the robots, with the...
Well, he's like steps ahead.
He's 100 steps ahead.
Incredible.
And now he's in the White House. Yeah. So Tesla's going to explode.
Oh, yeah.
There's a few things that like I can't avoid. It's like, and it's like you can take $200 a week and go out to eat or whatever, cut a few things out of your life to put a plan together. That's something that I'm really focusing on for the next few years is really just like my investments, real estate and stocks. Yeah, smart. That's huge. Do you guys have any like want to get into real estate, buy properties, 3 families, start flipping?
Yeah. She watches enough of Chip and Joanna. She thinks
Eventually, yeah. I mean, I think that's the next obvious step. Not obvious, but like the thing that makes the most sense, right?
Yeah, man. It's like there's a lot of good opportunity in that too. You get a 3 family, you own it for a year, you refinance, pull the cash out, do it again. And it's a rinse and repeat thing. Just over and over and over again. You're gonna have your failures and stuff, but like you guys seem like just like us. Like the failures, walk right through them.
Yeah.
Walk right through them.
Yeah, we've already been through it, so it's like
So what's next? What's next for Nicole and Greg?
I'm in a season of like peace. Like, I don't know. I'm naturally like, go getter. What's the next thing? And build. I'm just right now. I'm like very content, which is not a very good place to be for too long. But like my business is doing great. I love the season of life in where we're at with the kids, wrestling, like being wrestling parents, like just
that's fun.
Kind of. I don't want to say
fun,
slowing down, but just like
coast.
Yeah, because we just lived that life for so long of like running around like chickens with our head cut off. Yeah. I'm like, I'm really liking this right now.
Mindful.
But it's it's not even like, again, it's not even a break really. During wrestle season, it's like, I just try to work as much as I can so they can do that like as much as they can, like obviously I'll switch different hours and stuff like that, but everything's like focused around wrestling. And now that they're both doing it, it's like almost every night we're doing that. And then every weekend
Isn't it so cool watching your son? Like
awesome.
my son's getting into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Last night he's like, Dad, can I stay and grapple? I wanted to cry.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah,
dude. Yeah. I canceled all my plans. I'm like, yes, dude.
I'm on the same boat. Cause I've had like clients like a couple weeks ago, like on a Thursday night, I had like a full Thursday night and he was like, oh, I want to do a private with, Coach Nick. Done. I called him. I'm like, do you available? And I canceled all my clients. Like, I'm all in with that. Like if they want to do it, I don't care, whatever it takes.
Dude, he's loving training with you.
Oh, it's the best. Yeah, he's awesome.
He has this want to really do it. He was training for a little while and he wasn't getting really too into it because I think there wasn't enough going on for him. Yeah. But when we switched him over to you, like the
one-on-one,
you spend time with him.
The one-on-one,
you teach him, what he's doing wrong, and then you started incorporating knees, which he was like, "Oh, that was when we left." He was like, "That was sick." So like when he gets into that kind of like
the one-on-one time that's like the crucial time. That's what gets because anybody can do a class and especially kids, they get lost in that. They're like looking around, like the one-on-ones, like that's where it's at. That's the best part.
So you're like booked because I asked him if I could get pad working with him. He's like, dude, I don't even have the time.
It's tough. I probably it's a lot, man.
That's crazy.
It's a lot, but it's like trying to find the time for them, and then it's like it's a lot.
I know.
That's my goal for him is like because he is so trade time for money. And he's so good at what he does, and I think you'll be busy forever for as long as you want to be.
And I love
but like,
how
can he leverage like his skills, even on the online space or something where you build some residual income? Because right now, all of his income is you have to show up.
Yeah,
that's what's hard. Like with boxing, there's no way to do it virtually or like stuff. If people want pad work, it's all like in house, which is fine. I love doing it. So it's like like.
What's your guys' nutrition like?
I would say I finally reached a spot where I'm not so all or nothing because for years as a competitor, it was like 16 weeks of you're eating like a rabbit.
Yeah.
And then after the 16
But then
weeks,
you get used to that, right? Because I went on a diet recently, the rice cake and friggin' chicken and all that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
even when I wasn't dieting, I found myself eating those things all the time.
Yeah. And so it took me a while to find like that gray area where it's like I don't have to be eating like a fitness competitor, and I don't have to binge and go all out like I'm never gonna see food again. Like it was bad for a while. That's the hardest part. Is like, like every time we were off season, him and I have that in common because you would cut weight, and then after the fight, it was like binge fest.
Yeah.
So it took me a long time.
I had a fight closet and a fat closet. Yeah, I had like 2 different sets of clothes. It was bad.
What's your guys' thought on fruit if you're trying to cut weight?
Eat it.
Yeah.
Yes. There's no. Instagram has got everyone's mind so twisted. It's like now it's like you can't even breathe without there being toxic.
I'm afraid to drink water.
But like a bag of grapes a day and 2 pomegranates a day.
That's fine.
Really?
So my nutrition is very like macro based. Where if I'm in a deficit trying to like get shredded, let's just say for the summer, which I wouldn't say shredded, but get lean. Just count your macros. You'll be able to have the grapes, to have the slice of pizza, to have the grilled chicken, like again,
just
like
don't
80-20. And just try to hit those targets.
Like the grapes, right? I said a bag of grapes because that's what I do. I'll go, frozen grapes is my thing.
Yeah.
It's like freaking candy to me.
Yep.
I will eat the entire bag and then I'll eat 2 pomegranates.
We need stalks and grapes and pomegranates.
They're so good. The cotton candy grapes in the freezer. Are you kidding me? They're like, it's candy.
Yeah.
But like that's my problem is I go overboard.
Yeah.
I eat really good. Like today I had eggs and avocado this morning. And for lunch I had ground beef with green beans. Tonight I'll have a roast with potato. Like that's how I eat normally.
Yeah.
But for some reason I have this I can't get rid of. It just doesn't drop for me for some reason.
So I always use the analogy of a tube of toothpaste. You're in great shape. To get you to that next level, you have to be more precise. And when I say precise, like find someone, whether it's me, another coach, that would be like, here's your fat loss zone in terms of macronutrients. Here's what I want you hitting in protein, carbs, and fats per day to keep you in a deficit. Because grapes aren't bad, but if you're having the whole bag, you're probably exceeding your where you need to be for your fat burning zone. And so you're in great shape. To get you to that next level, it's like that tube of toothpaste. You squeeze in the beginning and it comes right out.
Yeah.
Towards the end, you're like, oh, I got to roll it and really get that last, and that's fat loss.
I don't think I'm doing enough protein.
That's a great
Probably
analogy.
not.
That's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
That
And
is a good
it's
analogy.
tough though, because then, especially because we're parents, you reach a point where we're like, is this worth it? Like, come on, like, I don't know.
But it's every night. Are you kidding me?
Right? Like
every night. I'm like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. Every night we go to bed, we watch.
Dude, I want a bagel with a ton of butter right now.
Yeah.
Bagel, midnight bagels, cinnamon raisin bagels with like a pound of butter.
Yeah.
That's my shit.
Pound of butter is not.
Yeah, for real, man. That's
and
like,
especially for this season's like the hardest for me. Once I get through the holidays, summer's easy. That's like it's easy for me to like stay.
No,
in
his
shape.
weekends are the
My
toughest.
weekends are like,
hell yeah.
Babe, I'm not doing any sugar
As I
this
said,
weekend.
not doing any sugar.
And then I don't know because I'm like, have Twizzlers, they make you happy.
Yeah.
And then the one bag of Twizzlers turns into a whole binge.
Turns into us going to Tavern on the Square, and I'm like, let's go. What do you want? Left side of the menu. I'm like, it's bad.
Yeah,
I love it.
Twizzlers are like the safe candy, right? Is that?
They're
No,
fat free.
yeah.
They're
fat free. That's why. That's why.
And it's sad.
He's like, not safe for me.
I'm 42, and that's when I see her. I'm like, hey.
It's
See?
free.
I just did it.
I like show it to her. Yeah.
No, but I just did it.
Yeah. As we're in Target,
Yeah.
people are like, what is this?
I just did it, dude. I said they're safe,
Yeah.
right?
That's
At
bad.
night, that's what happens.
Do you feel better that we're actually normal?
Oh, I
'Cause
know,
all
I
they're
know,
saying
I
is
know.
Exactly
and
what
this is
we
why I
go
love to tell
through.
these stories. Like people think like, I'm like, what do you think I do? I struggle just like everyone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah.
yeah. And
We talk ourselves right into it. We're like, but we bond over it.
Yes.
It's movie time. Yeah, it's bad. No, that's what I told her.
We've been really
I
good
literally was
for
like, all right,
3
we're
months.
cutting out sugar this weekend. And I was like, I do meal prep with Paul. I buy all my meals there. It's easy. I cook my meals during the week. And yeah, I'm like, this
On the
weekend, no
weekend.
sugar. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
good.
There's this one fucking phrase he says that opens up the floodgates. I'm like on a roll, I'm like hitting my macros every day. I'm like, oh wow, I'm getting lean. He'll come home and be like, I'm having a hard time. I'm like, you want pizza?
Yeah, it's bad. Or she can say the same thing to me, and I swear to God, I have sneakers on the side of the bed. I hop out and I slide right into them. Yeah, it's bad. And I'm like, what do you want? Snacks? Sure. It's bad.
Yeah, he does this thing walking out the door. So yeah, I want a bagel. Yeah, you want a bagel? And he's just
No,
talking me into it.
I'll be like, Yeah. So I'll walk in the room and be like, yeah, fine. I'll do a bagel, whatever.
Yeah, like, sure.
Yeah, if you want, whatever. She won't even say a word.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
And don't you get pissed when like the other person's like, no, I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
like, how
Yeah.
dare you?
Yeah,
How dare you?
come on.
It's rare. It's
I
rare,
want
but yeah, I
snacks.
do.
I want snow snacks. She's like, it's April.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you? Yeah, I'm like, shit. Yeah.
I
It's
love
bad.
it.
No, this is awesome, man. I
That's
appreciate you
great.
guys coming on.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for having us.
I had a blast.
Yeah.
We'll do a round 2.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna build this out a little bit to where we can have a few more people in. We want to do
Yeah.
like a big community thing, get a bunch of cool people together, and
I look
Yeah.
forward to your retreats.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we
Can't
should
wait to hear
chat.
about
I'm
that.
excited.
yeah,
No, we should. Do you ever watch like Joe Rogan Fight Companions?
yeah. That I would love to do that.
That's what I mean. We should
I would
do one
love
of
to do
those.
that.
We
Yeah,
do
we
one
should
of
set
those.
that up.
Me,
We
you,
have that
get
room
it,
over
yeah.
there, dude. We could even do it in here.
Those are honestly, I think, the best podcast Joe Rogan does.
Let's set that up.
Yeah, he
Let's
calls
set
it
that up.
It's called JRE Fight Companion,
Yeah.
and he puts the UFC on, and then all of his buddies literally come and they have a huge couch,
Cigars,
and they
out.
drink,
pizza.
smoke cigars,
Yeah.
and just
Twizzlers.
chat.
Yeah.
And it's the funniest shit on the planet.
No,
Like,
it's awesome.
so
Eddie
funny.
Bravo,
And
Eddie
what,
Bravo.
they just like
dude.
comment on
They
the
just
fights and-
they like walk through the fights, but it
and
always
talk about aliens.
It ends up going. So he'll be watching like a world championship fight, and then it goes to like dick jokes and aliens. And I'm
Yeah,
like, what
no,
the hell-
it's
what are we
so-
doing? Yeah.
it's so
It is
fucking
on-
cool.
It's the best episodes of Rogan. I think they're the highest rated ones.
Brian
They're the best.
Callen,
Awesome.
Brendan Schaub,
Eddie Bravo.
Eddie Bravo, the
Yeah,
classic.
the best ones.
Then when Joey Diaz comes
Joey
in,
Diaz
I mean,
is the
come
best.
on.
Or like
forget
Sam
it.
he's so
Tripoli.
funny.
Yeah.
It's unreal. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Hilarious.
No, let's do that. That'd
Yeah,
be
that'd be
awesome,
great.
man.
Yeah.
Even doing it right in here.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh my God, we could easily do that.
yeah. Let's talk about that.
We could do like a because a lot of times they do the UFC like the afternoon ones,
Yep.
like the cards
Saudi
that are in-
Arabia
yeah,
ones?
they
Yep.
start at like 2.
Yep.
That'd be perfect
Yep.
man, on like a Saturday.
Yeah, I'm even down for a night one, dude.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I would do it in a
Yeah.
second. Man.
Cool.
My marketing brain is already going.
I
You
know,
can
I'm
get
like,
Twizzlers to sponsor
I-
it.
Yeah, good lord. man.
Seriously. I think, again, this is why I do this, is because now we have something that we can work off of.
Yeah.
This is going to grow into something
Mhm.
that we wouldn't have had if we didn't do this.
Yeah, you're right.
This is the beauty of networking, meeting awesome people in Rhode Island, and
And the beauty of being an entrepreneur, because
Mhm.
you can curate it into your lifestyle
Yes.
where it's actually fun, it's something you enjoy
Yep.
doing, and it's still productive at the same
Right.
time.
Right.
So it's
and
a
we're talking
win-win.
to people that want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Same interest,
It's same interest, same
Yeah.
thing, and,
Yep.
and that's how we grow. That's how we get better,
Yep.
and that's how it's done. So,
Yeah.
guys, thank you very much for
love it.
coming on. We
Thank you.
appreciate it, and look forward to our first fight
I love it.
companion.
Yeah.
No bagels tonight.
Awesome.
No Twizzlers.
Thank you, guys.